expression. Hey, we're in the Toyota Green Room. Are you awake? With Samantha Barry. She's editor-in-chief of Glamour Magazine. And this morning, the magazine announced its 2019 Women of the Year. They include, what a list you've gotten.
I know.
Madam Barry,
I know, it's great.
Okay, they include World Cup champion Megan Rapinoe, filmmaker Ava DuVernay, you go Ava, environmental activist Greta Thunberg. They're all featured in the November issue. Good morning to you, Sam. It's good to have you.
Morning. Such a great day. I mean, this is
a good day.
Honestly, it's one of my favorite days of the year.
Why?
We planned this for months, right?
I was wondering your process of picking who goes, because every year I think, I don't know who they're going to pick this year. I don't know how they're going to come up with 8. But every year you do, and every year they're so great. Tell us the process briefly, how it works.
Well, you know, it's months in the planning. And again, it's of the year. So we look at across the board, across different industries, which women have made major differences this year. But I think one of the things that stood out for us about all of these 8 women this year is that and groups, they're not just making a difference this year, they're really pushing the boundaries and standing up for themselves and kind of, I think a lot of the women you see will have generational impact for years to come. Whether that's Greta, who's 16 and is changing how the world looks at climate change, or Megan Rapinoe, who's really fighting for the next generation of female soccer players in equal pay.
And Charlize Theron, number 1. I love Charlize's cover. Number 1, to be shallow for just a second, I love Charlize's haircut.
He looks gorgeous.
I just saw her on Sunday. There was a screening for the movie Bombshell. She is knockout in it, where she plays Megyn Kelly. Why did she make the list for you this year?
She made the list. Obviously, got that big movie out at the end of this year. We're really interested in it. She told us on set about the hours of prosthetics that it took to have her look like Megyn Kelly.
She's dead on too in it.
But for us, she's also been behind the scenes doing a lot of work in South Africa.
Yes.
So with the Charlize Theron Foundation, it has been a very steady work for her and really, really trying to change the lives of a lot of. She grew up in South Africa. She keeps it really close to heart, and we really kind of in her interview highlight the work that she's been doing there.
We've just named some of them. I think we should name all of the women who made it this year. You describe them as warriors on the frontier lines of change. Yara Shahidi, Margaret Atwood, Tory Burch, and the women of Racy's The Guardians. But let's go to one of my favorites, which would be, can you hand me Ava?
We got Ava.
The lovely Ava DuVernay. She made it because...
Well, she's changing filmmaking
She's changed the game.
She's changed the game, and she's really changing what it means to be represented on screen. The stories that she has told, obviously this year, her Netflix documentary, When They See Us, was nominated for 16 Emmys. She's really changing what it means to be a woman in film, telling stories, and she's such a great filmmaker, and she really cares about the stories that she's telling and the representation she's doing. So we talked to her about the series for Netflix, and for her, it wasn't about the 16 Emmy nominations. It was about changing the story of those 5 men.
Yes, and telling the truth.
Exactly.
Many people, she believed, didn't know the real truth of what happened to the Central Park 5. And she talks a lot about inclusion as opposed to diversity. She says it really is a matter of inclusion. Now, before we went on, guys, Sam said to me that this was her favorite cover. This is Megan Rapinoe. I'd say this is, what was the word you used? Saucy, sassy?
It's saucy. I love it.
It's saucy for Megan Rapinoe.
It's a great photo.
But why is this your favorite cover?
Well, my favorite, it was because we were out in 2 boats out in Manhattan.
So you were on this shoot?
I was on this shoot, and I was on the second boat because the boat that they were shooting this on, it was so small it could only hold the photographer and the makeup artist.
I want you to see the sauciness of
It's amazing.
The sauciness.
We were in the next boat, which was a small boat, watching this all go down. And I think when you're doing a shoot like this outside, you don't want any members of the public to usurp your cover. So you're trying to get a great outdoor shot. And we were kind of getting it closer to Lady Liberty, maybe over the line of where we should have been. And this Coast Guard came in. We were afraid they were going to move us, and I don't know if they recognized that amazing shock of pink hair, but they were like, "You're fine. You're good. You're good. It's good."
Is it the shock of pink hair or the sauciness? I don't know. Greta Thunberg this has certainly been her moment, her year. She's 16 years old. Is she the youngest person who's been on the list? And are young women now making a bigger contribution than in years past?
You've seen actually in recent years, Malala was.
Oh, that's right.
So you're seeing that these young women can really, really make change. And I think what was interesting when we were awarding Greta is the amount of people that wanted to give us the secondary interviews. Al Gore was trying to talk to us for the magazine interview.
Wait a minute, Nancy's telling me you can see my Spanx.
Oh.
Nancy? Yes, I will. Every single day.
Me too.
Okay,
I got mine on.
You do?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I think what was interesting was all of the generations of people that wanted to come to us and talk about how Greta had made a difference. So we talked to, those climate activists that are many generations older than her. Al Gore, Stella McCartney's interested, and then also we talked to a lot of younger women globally, young girls, who talked about how Greta had influenced them and really has made them think about climate change.
Margaret Atwood, a lot of people know her from Handmaid's Tale, but she's so much bigger than that, as we know.
She's the best storyteller, and when her interview was amazing, and she's just got this regal elegance about her.
She does.
We shot her in Canada, and I think, it was like we were having the Queen of Canada come to set, and she's a beautiful person with so many stories to tell, and when she talks, everybody stops and listens. She's amazing.
The last time you were here, you were talking about, you were doing a different kind of cover about size, and that size really does matter, but you wanted to step out of the box in terms of what we normally see on covers. Glamour doesn't do as many print editions, so this is a very special issue. How did that cover work for you?
This is our one print issue this year.
Yeah.
And I think when we think about it, again, you're making something special that will stay on somebody's coffee table for a long time. So it's not a print issue that lasts for months. Like, people can get the Women of the Year issue and they can keep it and look at it for 6 months or have on their coffee table. And yes, we're profiling the 8 Women of the Year, but we also have some really inspirational stories of women in the rest of the magazine, including The Room Where It Happens. We talk to the women of Pen 15 about where they create.
I hear about this show.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's great. You have to watch it. It's great.
I want to see it. Yeah.
It's really good. And we talked to a lot of women as well in the issue that met at Women of the Year. So our Women of the Year event is on November 11th in New York. Veterans Day. And the day before, on November 10th, we have the Women of the Year Summit. So we have a lot of people coming for conversations and interactions and experiences. And in the actual magazine, we talked to women that met at a Women of the Year event and went on to do great things together. So you have, Ali Raisman meeting Chrissy Teigen for the first time at Women of the Year, and then they went on to do great things. Samantha Powers in there, and so there's these great stories of what actually happens when you put brilliant women in the room together.
No, it's always a great event. I mean, in addition to good networking, it's just a very solid. Number one, I love to hear the speeches. You walk out of there always inspired by something that you heard, or you met somebody that you wanted to meet and just happens to be in the room. But I want to go back to the size issue for just a second. How did that do for you? What kind of conversation did that generate?
I think what was so our September issue, which was super size inclusive, it was
That's
the new supers. Yeah, and we talked about the F word and the plus size fashion awards. What it has meant, it wasn't a conversation that just stopped in September. We've had lots of designers and fashion houses and people in the industry come and talk to us about how size inclusive is something that they really care about this year and going into 2020. The women that we put on the cover, Senabu and Iskra, we had Senabu here, who was amazing. Senabu and Iskra and Yvonne and Alessandra. We put the cover out a couple of weeks before Fashion Week, and they were booked solid for Fashion Week. I saw them walk in Tommy Hilfiger. They were just booked on so many of the shows, and they were like, we've had the best kind of Fashion Week that we've had. We've also had a lot of designers come to us and talk to us about if they want to extend their sizes, what should they be looking at? So we did the plus size fashion awards, and there's certain things that an over a size 12 in the US are looking for that they're not seeing in the market, whether that is, I think they see that there's a lot of athleisure wear that's based, but they need some really saucy workwear, right?
I like that word, saucy. You talked about fashion for a second. Tory Burch made the list this year.
She's amazing.
So do you just go by, because Tory Burch has been around for a long time, has done amazing things for a very long time, but this is the first time she's made the Glamour of the Year list. Why this year?
So we picked her this year really for the work that she's doing around the Tory Burch Foundation. So this year she's been working on the Tory Burch Foundation, which really underpins a lot that she's doing in fashion and design. And it was a message that we really cared about. It was all about women embracing their ambition. So she's been going around the country with her foundation and not only asking women to embrace their ambition, but giving money to young female entrepreneurs that want to start businesses. And that for us was, made it stand out to us. Tory is more than just a designer. She really wants to make an impact.
She really is. And as editor-in-chief, why does this particular issue and this particular awards matter to you personally? Because you're carrying on a great tradition.
Oh my God, it's 29 years, right? And I think this was one of my, when I took on the job last year, this was honestly one of the things I was so excited about, because there is, I don't know if there's an other awards that really sits back and takes note of what women have done over the course of a year and really how they've made an impact to the world. So that I just love that idea of really celebrating women continuously. And if you look back at the roster of who's been celebrated, right? 29 years. We've had like RBG and, you know, every Oprah's. Oh yeah, like amazing women. Hillary Clinton, Malala, Serena Williams. We've honored every amazing woman, but the reality is every year we get a new stack of women.
Sam, that's just what I was going to say. And every year you come up with somebody new. You never run out of options of celebrating really great, fantastic women. We thank you, Samantha Barry. Good luck on November 11th. It's always a really good event. Goodbye. Thank you to Sam.
Thank you.